What's up, guys? It's your boy MMA Striker back with another video today, and we are back with episode 8 of the Monday MMA news series, and we're going to be discussing UFC Ortega Korean Zombie recap, Loma Lopez recap, UFC 254 preview, and more. So if you like this type of content, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and comment down below your thoughts on everything that we discussed today. So let's get right into it. Let's start with recapping Ortega versus Korean Zombie, which was an overall great card. A lot of finishes. You had, of course, the Andrade Chookagian finish. You had Jimmy Crute knockout. You had the great fight between Gamrot, and I know the guy's name that he fought, but I just can't pronounce it off the top of my name right now. But that fight was an amazing fight. I thought Gamrot did enough to win the fight, but wasn't a robbery. Overall, great fight. You had Saeed Nurmagomedov, who got a finish to kick off the card. So it was a great card overall. Let's talk about the main event. Ortega Korean Zombie. Ortega defeated Korean Zombie by decision 50-45, all three judges. Pure domination. I'm not so shocked that Ortega won the fight. It's just how he won the fight. The main thing that shocked me was him outboxing and outstriking Korean Zombie. I thought that would be Korean Zombie's main strength to win this fight, and I thought he was going to outbox Ortega and pretty much just outstrike him, but Ortega was the one who's outboxing him. That jab was nasty. That spinning back elbow that he actually did in the locker room that they showed on the locker room camera, which is crazy. And after that elbow, Korean Zombie, I think that was where the fight really changed. I think in the beginning of round 2, Korean Zombie was doing better. I had him winning that round until the elbow, but the elbow really changed the course of the fight. Korean Zombie was not the same after that elbow. I think his jaw may have been broken, or his nose, but he just wasn't the same. He was done after that fight. After that not elbow, and Ortega just put a beating on him. And what's next for these two guys? Ortega versus Volkanovski is the fight to make. Now, I know before the fight I said when they announced that the winner would get a title shot, I kind of disagreed with Ortega getting the title shot because he had just fought Max in his last fight for the belt when he had lost. But with that performance, that's a title fight deserving performance. That's a championship performance, and that's the fight to make. Volkanovski Ortega. Who's going to win? I don't know right now. I will have to do a breakdown on that fight, but that's a very fun fight and close fight. I can't wait for it. I think they're going to try to do it in February, but I can't wait for that fight. And what's next for Korean Zombie? Maybe Josh Emmett. That'd be a good fight. Or maybe the loser of Zabit versus Yair whenever that fight happens. And Jessica Andrade did TKO Katlyn Chookagian to a body shot. You could tell that was a nasty body shot. Chookagian was screaming after that body shot, and Andrade finished the fight. And what's next for these two? Andrade, either they can do a #1 contender fight between her and Cynthia Calvillo, or she can just sit out and wait for the winner of Shevchenko and Maia. And for Chookagian, they can do her versus maybe Roxanne Modafferi. I think that'll be a fun fight, a good fight to make. But let's talk about Loma versus Lopez. Great fight as expected. Now, one of the judges had a 119 to 109, which is ridiculous. These boxing judges really need to get fired. Most of these judges, they just ruin great fights. Like I remember one time during the Floyd Mayweather versus Canelo fight, one judge had it a draw, which was ridiculous because Mayweather clearly won the fight, dominated, and the judge who scored Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder 1 scored at a draws. These boxing judges are ruining big time fights and great fights. So it needs to be fixed, but overall great performance from both fighters. Now, I know a lot of people have been criticizing Loma's performance, saying that he didn't really do much in most of the fight, which is true. Now, I understand his game plan, what the game plan was, and in general, Loma is a slow starter. He pretty much does what Floyd Mayweather used to do. He'll take the first 3 to 4 rounds to download information about the opponent, to feel the opponent out, see what they're going to come out with, and then turns up. But you can't really do that with Lopez, as we learned. You can't do that with him. He puts on a good high-paced output early, comes out the gate, and lands volume on you. And I think Loma and his team were expecting Lopez to come out aggressive in the first few rounds, and they probably expected him to gas out around the 5th and 6th round, but Lopez didn't start slowing down to like 8th, 9th, and 10th, when it was kind of a little too late for Loma to win on the scorecards. So, great win by Lopez, and Loma put on a great performance as well, especially in the end of the fight. And my scorecard for the fight, I had it 8 rounds to 4 for Lopez. Some people had it a draw. I can agree with that. I can see a draw. I don't really see how you can score it for Lomachenko, to be honest. I don't really see what rounds other than like the later rounds you can give him. Maybe round 2. You can give him round 2, but other than that, other than round 2 and like the last 4 rounds, last 3 to 4 rounds, what other rounds can you really give him? But like Justin Dempsey Jr. said he had it a draw, so I don't disagree with that. I can see a draw, but I had it 8 rounds to 4 for Lopez. But moving on to UFC 254, which is this Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, which is pretty rare. Normally the pay-per-view starts around like 10 o'clock Eastern Time, and the main event doesn't start till like midnight. But I like the new time, well, not the new time, but the time they're doing it for this card. I think they should do that more often. Not every time, but maybe for like big fights, like John Jones or Conor McGregor, they should do like a daytime pay-per-view. But the card overall is a great card. Of course, the main event, great fight. Co-main event, great fight. Volkov versus Harris is a good fight. I like that fight a lot. You have the rematch between Magomed Ankalaev versus Ion Cutelaba. That's going to be a fun fight. But the sleeper fight on this card, in my opinion, is Nathaniel Wood versus Casey Kenny. That's going to be an amazing fight. I can't wait for that fight. But yeah, the overall card is a great card. And I want to talk about the main event for a little bit. Now, I know there's been talks for a while that if Khabib beats Gaethje, he's going to have one more fight to get to the 30-0 mark. And personally, who I want to see him fight if he does beat Gaethje on Saturday, the GSP or Tony Ferguson fight. Of course, there's still that group of people who want to see the Conor McGregor rematch. And you know, your old boy Conor he's back in the tweets, he's back in the headlines. He tweeted last night pretty much a breakdown of his fight versus Khabib. And it's pretty much a trend now for Conor McGregor to tweet and make headlines on the week of a big pay-per-view card. He did it with the last one. He did it with UFC 250. I think he did it with UFC 252. I don't remember, but yesterday he did a breakdown of his fight versus Khabib, and he pretty much said he was winning the fight until the submission, which just isn't true. He said he won round 1 because he was landing elbows and knees on the bottom. He said he won round 3, which I can agree with him. I gave him round 3, but it wasn't a clear round for him. It could have went either way. And he said he was winning round 4 until the submission. Now, I don't remember round 4 that well because I haven't watched a fight in a long time. It's been like a few months or maybe even a year. But I would have to go back and rewatch round 4. But I gave him round 3. It was a very close round. It wasn't a clear round, but I gave him round 3. He did not win round 1. I mean, he got taken down and held down. I mean, there's not really much to say. How did he win that round? He most definitely lost round 1. He lost round 2. Round 3 is debatable. I gave it to him, but it's debatable. And like I said, round 4 I don't really remember that well, so I would have to go back and rewatch that round. But I understand it's good for a fighter. I understand for a fighter to have self-confidence. You're supposed to believe in yourself that you can beat anybody in the world. But there's a difference from self-confidence and just false confidence and false delusion. And that's what Conor McGregor has. He has false delusion about the fight. And he isn't the only one who has had this problem. Joanna has had this problem after the Rose rematch. TJ Dillashaw's had this problem. Sean O'Malley. So fighters have had this false delusion about themselves in fights before, but it's not a healthy mindset to have, especially if they're going to rematch. Say they do rematch. Conor thinks he won the first fight before the submission. He pretty much doesn't respect Khabib at all, like his skill set at all. He thinks he didn't make that many mistakes, which is not true. It's just not true. And he wasn't like this for the Nate Diaz fight. And a lot of people say that, and I think that's because I think he just can't accept the fact that he lost to a man he just doesn't respect at all and he hates a lot. I think that's the main reason why he can't look at the fight at a realistic perspective. I don't even know if who knows? He may have not even rewatched the fight since it happened. We don't know. But my reasoning is I think he's just really ashamed, and he can't accept the fact that he lost to a man that he doesn't respect. He doesn't respect Khabib's style. He doesn't like his style. He calls it crotch sniffing or whatever. He doesn't like his style. He doesn't respect it. Doesn't respect him as a person, or doesn't respect anything about him. He hates the man. So him losing and getting finished by a man he does not like, I think that really eats him away. That really hurts him. So, but that's just my whole situation on that. But if Justin Gaethje wins, what do they do? Do they go back to a Khabib rematch, or do they do Conor? Do they do Dustin? It's gonna be interesting to see. But the fight is an amazing fight. I'm not gonna get too in depth about a breakdown because you got to wait to the prediction video on Friday for that. But like I said, overall, UFC 254 is a great card. And let's move on to the next topic. Now, The next topic I want to talk about was Jose Aldo versus Marlon Vera got announced this morning. Now, this is an amazing fight. Kind of a step down the competition for Jose Aldo, but it's needed because he's on a 2-fight losing streak. He got finished against Petr Yan in his last fight, and he lost a close fight to Marlon Moraes. And excuse me, Marlon Vera had beat Sean O'Malley in his last fight. I know a lot of people think that was a fluke. I disagree, but that's for a different day. I'm not gonna get too depth about that fight, but this is an amazing fight. If Jose Aldo loses this fight, I think he should retire. I was saying he should retire after the Yan fight, but I think if he loses this fight, I actually think win or lose, if he wins this fight, he should retire. Why not go out on top with the win? But if he loses, he most definitely should retire. And this is a big step up in competition for Marlon Vera to go from Song Yadong, who's a prospect, to Sean O'Malley, who's a prospect, to Jose Aldo, who's a former featherweight champion, one of the greatest fighters of all time. But the main thing I worry about for Marlon Vera is leg kicks. He doesn't really check leg kicks that much, and you're gonna need to check leg kicks against a guy like Jose Aldo, who throws leg kicks, has some of the best leg kicks in the UFC, up there with Barboza, and it's gonna be a fun fight. That's on UFC 255, so that kind of adds a little bit of juice to that card, a little bit of more star power to that card, especially because Jose Aldo is pretty known around here. Well, not around here, but he's pretty known around in the UFC community and MMA community. So I'm glad that fight is on that card. And I think that's all the news we have for today. Yeah, we don't have no questions for this week. I don't think. Yeah, so we're done for today. So that's gonna conclude this video, guys. Make sure to comment down below your thoughts on everything we discussed, and make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new, and make sure to like this video and give it a thumbs up. And I'll see you guys in the next video tomorrow, which will be the top 3 greatest fighters of UFC in each division. And that's going to be a fun video, so stay on the lookout for that tomorrow. And then Friday is going to be the prediction video for UFC 254. So hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.